In this video, we begin to examine the COSO Enterprise Risk Management Framework by considering some preliminary concepts and definitions. COSO stands for Committee of Sponsoring Organizations for the Treadway Committee. Here is a visual summary of the COSO approach to enterprise risk management. It begins with the organization's objectives, seen on the top face of the cube. It continues by showing the involvement of all the entity's organizational levels and units on the right face. The front face of the model presents the 8 elements of the enterprise risk management process. The underlying premise of enterprise risk management is that every entity, whether for profit, not for profit, or a governmental body, exists to provide value for its stakeholders. All entities face uncertainty, and the challenge for management is to determine how much uncertainty the entity is prepared to accept as it strives to grow stakeholder value. Uncertainty presents both risk and opportunity, with the potential to erode or enhance value. Enterprise risk management provides a framework for management to effectively deal with uncertainty and associated risk and opportunity, and thereby enhance its capacity to build value. Risk appetite is defined by COSO as the degree of risk on a broad-based level that a company or other entity is willing to accept in pursuit of its goals. Management considers the entity's risk appetite when it sets objectives. For example, a pharmaceutical company with a low risk appetite relative to its brand value might maintain extensive protocols to ensure product safety. Enterprise risk management links growth, risk, and return. Entities accept risk as part of value creation and preservation, and they expect return commensurate with the risk. ERM enhances risk response decisions. Enterprise risk management provides the rigor to identify and select among alternative risk responses: risk avoidance, reduction, sharing, and acceptance. A company with company-owned and operated vehicles has options for reducing risks in its delivery process. They include reducing the risk through effective driver recruiting and training, avoiding the risk by outsourcing delivery, transferring the risk via insurance, or simply accepting the risk. ERM minimizes operational surprises and losses. Entities have enhanced capability to identify potential events, assess risk, and establish responses, thereby reducing the occurrence of surprises and related costs or losses. ERM helps identify and manage cross-enterprise risks. A myriad of risks can affect different parts of the organization. Management needs to not only manage individual risks, but also understand interrelated impacts where a risk in one part of the entity can affect risks in other entity functions as well. ERM provides integrated responses to multiple risks. Business processes carry many inherent risks, and enterprise risk management enables integrated solutions for managing the risks. For instance, a wholesale distributor faces risks of over and under supply positions, tenuous supply sources, and unnecessarily high purchase prices. These risks would be managed in an integrated way rather than in individual silos. Seize opportunities. By considering a full range of potential events rather than just risks, management gains an understanding of how certain events represent opportunities. And rationalize capital. More robust information on risk allows management to more effectively assess overall capital needs and improve capital allocation. Events play a prominent role in the COSO model. It's helpful to know that events are nothing more than the by now familiar hazards and opportunities that give rise to risks. In the COSO jargon, events give rise to risks. Pause this video and carefully read this definition. Is a process. It's a means to an end, not an end in itself. Is affected by people. It's not merely policies, surveys, and forms, but it involves people at every level of an organization. Is applied in strategy setting. Is applied across the enterprise at every level and unit, and includes taking an entity-level portfolio view of risk. Is designed to identify events potentially affecting the entity and to manage risk within its risk appetite. Provides reasonable assurance to an entity's management and board, and is geared to the achievement of objectives in one or more separate but overlapping categories. COSO defines 4 categories or types of objectives. These are strategic, relating to high-level goals aligned with and supporting the organization's mission. Operations, relating to effective and efficient use of the organization's resources. Reporting, relating to the reliability of the organization's reporting. And compliance, relating to the organization's compliance with applicable laws and regulations. Enterprise risk management is the responsibility of every person in an enterprise. Everyone has some responsibility for enterprise risk management. The board of directors provides important oversight to ERM. The chief executive officer is ultimately responsible and should assume ownership. Other managers must support the risk philosophy, promote compliance with the risk appetite, and manage the effective functioning of all ERM components within their spheres of responsibility. Other personnel are responsible for executing their duties in accordance with established ERM directives and protocols. Internal environment. Management sets a philosophy regarding risk and establishes a risk appetite. The internal environment sets the foundation for how risk and control are viewed and addressed by an organization's people. The core of any business is its people, their individual attributes including integrity, ethical values, and competence, and the environment in which they operate. They are the engine that drives the entity and the foundation on which everything rests. Objective setting. Objectives must exist before management can identify events potentially affecting their achievement. Enterprise risk management ensures that management has a process in place to set objectives and that the chosen objectives support and align with the entity's mission and vision and are consistent with the entity's risk appetite. Event identification. Potential events that might have an impact on the entity must be identified. Event identification includes identifying factors, internal and external, that influence how potential events may affect strategy implementation and achievement of objectives. It includes distinguishing between potential events that represent risks, those representing opportunities, and those that may be both. Management identifies interrelationships between potential events and may categorize events in order to create and reinforce a common risk language across the organization and form a basis for considering events from a portfolio perspective. Risk assessment. Identified risks are analyzed in order to form a basis for determining how they should be managed. Risks are associated with related objectives that may be affected. Risks are assessed on both an inherent and a residual basis, and the assessment considers both risk likelihood and consequence. A range of possible results may be associated with a potential event, and management needs to consider them together. Risk response. Management selects an approach or set of actions to align risks with the entity's risk appetite in the context of its strategy and objectives. Personnel identify and evaluate possible responses to risks, including avoiding, accepting, reducing, and sharing risk. Control activities. Policies and procedures are established and executed to help ensure that the risk responses that are selected by management are effectively carried out. Information and communication. Relevant information is identified, captured, and communicated in a form and time frame that enable people to carry out their responsibilities. Information is needed at all levels of an organization. Monitoring. The entire enterprise risk management process must be monitored, and modifications made as necessary. In this way, the system can react dynamically, changing as conditions warrant. Monitoring is accomplished through ongoing management activities, through separate evaluations of the ERM process, or a combination of the two.